Hi, Russell. So, welcome back, everyone. I'm here with Russell, and I'm just so excited to be back and to be chatting all things Substack. I'm really delighted that Russell could join me this afternoon. We made our timings work. It's like super early his time and afternoon my time. And we're going to delve into some Substack frequently asked questions that people find quite complicated to wrap their heads around. And we're also going to hear about Russell's journey as an author, as a Substacker, as just a creative beautiful person. I call him this Substack wizard, and this is the first time we've met, and I hope he takes it in the best possible way. But yeah, I do think he is a Substack wizard, so watch out. Hi, Russell. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Russell Nohelty. I'm a US Today best-selling author. My publication is called The Author Stack. It's really about helping authors build better and more sustainable businesses. So I started in film in 2004, and then I moved to comics in 2010. I started writing novels 2011, and I've been blogging for most of that time, on and off since 2008. I think I still have a blogger, the Google, whatever the Blogspot, that's what it was, a blog from like 2008. So I've kind of like every time I start a new project in this vein, I like go back and I pull all of the best stuff from like my old project to this one. So my last one was called The Complete Creative. And that lasted, we had a 200 episode podcast, and that lasted from about 2016 to 2020. And then the author stack came about. I really went back earlier this year and pillaged all of my previous stuff about author growth. And the thing that I'm mostly interested in is like not just helping authors build like more money into their business, but building more really like the rock solid foundational principles. I consider five pillars of building a creative career are making something great, like learning how to sell it, building an audience, selling at live events, and then launching products successfully. And then with Monica Leonel, who's my business partner, writer, MBA, we just are launching a book called Direct Sales Mastery for Authors on Kickstarter. And that has its own 5 areas of direct sales inside like the launching product. So it's subscriptions like Substack or Patreon or Ream, crowdfunding like Kickstarter, conventions, website sales, so web stores, and then landing pages on your website. And across those 5 modalities and those 5 kind of pillars that I designed all the way back in 2016, I'm trying to get authors and writers of all types to just understand that marketing will set you free, not hold you back, basically.
Oh, wow, wow, wow. It's amazing. It's amazing to hear your journey and how all of that has started to slot together. And then this gorgeous, generous gift that you've got of wanting to help other people, through the lessons that you've learned, through collaborations with Monica, and then also through trying new things. Like I always get the impression from reading your articles, you're not afraid to try things, right? You're like, let's give this a go, and then we'll reflect on it. And also, I really love that you're really into looking at the behind the scenes in Substack. Like that's what I've really drawn from some of your work, that like you really look at those open rates, and some of the notes that you've published around that have like blown my mind. I'm like, I need to read this 5 times to understand it. It's new language, but it's also new statistical ways of working for us, when we're sort of used to shying away from the statistics and being a bit frightened of them, and you're trying to help us to see them and look at them and get really empowered by what they mean.
Yeah, so a lot of people, like almost everyone wants to grow their audience. I always say you might not want to grow I've met a lot of authors who don't care about the money, but I've never met one person that doesn't want to grow their audience. And like, you need to know statistics. So Monica is much more, she deals with the much more like meaty trends on her publication, which used to be called The Author Analyst. She's like, so I'll post a lot of stuff about how capitalism is destroying your mental state. And Monica always says, why are you writing that? Like, no one's going to read that. And I say, well, I write the posts about Substack that people want, to write the articles about like actually what's happening that people need. And so like a lot of times people ask me like, well, I have this very niche subject. How do I grow it? And I'm like, well, like, I like to think of it as like a dartboard. So like you have your your bullseye, and like that's where your super core fans are going to be, like the people that resonate with everything. But like it's probably pretty weird. Like it's probably pretty weird. Like not always, but like often it's like my bugaboo is like capitalism destroying creative minds and careers, and like I don't love it. And like not most people don't resonate with that initially, because like we all like food and we all like money. It buys for food and services and goods. Like what's wrong with that? And so I then have to like move out from there. So I'll give you an example from my own career. I have a book called Ichabod Jones' Monster Hunter. It's a very weird psychological horror book that's also a dark fantasy. And like people that love that book will love everything else that I do. Like it just is historically been the case. Like if you love Ichabod, you love everything else. But like it's very weird. It's not quite on trope. Well, it's definitely not on trope. It's just a very weird book. And so I wrote this book series called The Godsverse Chronicles, which is mythological fantasy. It's action adventure. It's still weird, but like less weird. It's much more, and I actually like designed it so that it starts weird and then it starts pretty normal and then gets weirder throughout the course of the 12 book series. And then that helped. And that got a wider audience. And then I wrote a series called The Obsidian Spindle Saga, which was fantasy and fairy tales. And like there was love story at the center of it, like way more on trope. The first book is called The Sleeping Beauty. Like then The Wicked Witch just like is made to sell. And then like while I was doing that, I created this anthology series called Cthulhu is Hard to Spell, which is an anthology series about Lovecraft. And so all of these are these concentric rings that bring broader and broader audiences into the work, and allows me to write the posts that I think matter the most, knowing that those ones aren't the ones that are going to be disseminated the best. And I only know all of those data points because of I only know how that works because I look at the back end. And I, for instance, release a chapter of the Godsverse Chronicles every week, and I'm like, it's easily the least read thing. Like the most subscribes come. I just don't care because like I care about being a fiction author. Like I care that you like both things. Like I'm fine with you liking one of the things, like especially if it is just the fiction. But I'm really looking for people that like both things, because the more points of intersection that you have with someone, the deeper your relationship with them is, and the more money they spend, the more referrals you get, like the happier they are. And so I am interested mostly in the intersection of multiple points of as opposed to like just making a publication that has the most reach possible. Not that that's bad, it's just even like I feel like I resonate a lot. Like people who like have very weird topics resonate with my work a lot, because it's really about like, okay, I'm going to show you how to game the system, but like I'm going to help you game the system so you get the most people to read the weird thing that you actually really care about. It just so happens that you have to read this other thing. Like you have to do these other things that you like. I love writing those more basic posts as well. Or like the posts I'm doing is like all of the nonsense terms of tech that like will help your author career, like this week. Like those are like SEO articles. Like those are ones that like I can push out for the next 10 years and keep getting people in, as opposed to like How to Survive in a Hyper-Capitalist Hellscape, which I wrote like 6 months ago, is one of my best read pieces. But like you have to be in the know to get that piece. Like I'm not putting that out unless somebody actually has that problem. I'm not going to like put that out in the general public, because it's going to scare too many people away until they know all of the data points.
Wow. So there's so much richness in that. So you're a storyteller, right? So you've written these books and it's storytelling and it's fandom. So for some of the people that listen to Sparkle, I know like even the word fandom, they'll be like, wait, what? Like, what is that? So fandom is massive in America. It's like really small here in the UK. Like there are pockets of it, but it's small. Like obviously we're a small island, blah, blah, blah. And there are these kind of like little pots of things that happen, but fandom in America is massive. Like there's conventions, there's like really cool things that people can go to, and there's all of these different audiences, and there's all these people celebrating, this is really quirky and I love it, and I also want to read this. And I feel like that's some of your work as well. Like you're going, I'm not going to apologize. Like I've got this work and I love writing about this stuff, but I also want to do this post here. And people are going to resonate with that. I was really interested in what you said around like where a post is like the most read post, or where it lands, and like how that lands with you. Like, do you feel like chuffed, elated? Are you like, great, that did so well, like I got X number of open rates? Or are you kind of like indifferent at this point? You're like, I'm putting my work out, it's all good, as long as more people are coming in, as long as some of them are kind of siphoning into being buyers and paid subs, it's all good. Like how does it land with you?
I feel like so I predict how well things are going to do, and when they do well, like I like check that box, and when they do badly, I like examine it, because if they do worse than my predictions, then I don't want to spend time on a post I don't love if like it's not going to be, or like doesn't like super resonate with the stuff that I do. If like it's not going to hit my projections. If it goes above it, then I'm like, I have a different, like very interesting conversation. I more just get bummed when I look at the statistics for everything and see that like my little web novel, it does the worst of all of the things. And like worse is not as like relative, right? Because like it still has over 10,000 people that read it a week, but like comparatively to the other stuff, the one I get emails about how to unsubscribe from just that section is like the fiction stuff. You did say something really interesting though about fandom, and I think that one of the things that writers, especially when they're starting their career, don't break out is you need, like, fandom is people who like your work, and but like then you also have a network, and that's a different thing. Like there are so many like creators that I work with who make great work, who I am not a fan of their writing in the way that like I am a fan of like Melissa Albert's writing, or like your writing, or like somebody like, so, and like I think that we, as one of the biggest things about Substack is people conflate the two things. Like they think that if we are friends, or like we are networking together to do a thing, that means you must like read my thing and then on some level like resonate with it and then give me money. And I just don't think that's like I don't think that's good, because your creator network is way more powerful than your fandom, especially at the beginning, like because the creator network is who you do cross promotions with, and who you like work with for marketing, who you share each other's work with. All of that stuff is really important. Like your fandom usually has to be considerably more than your creator network, because like those are the people actually buying your work. Most of your creator friends might read your work but are unlikely to buy it, but they are likely to share it with their audience because they believe in you, they believe in their work, like they know you're a good writer, even if maybe your work doesn't 100% resonate with them. And like, so I think one of the things that I see in America is people really conflating those two things. And on Substack, I see people really conflating those two things, and they just aren't the same. They shouldn't be the same. And you neglect the power of a network when you can think they need to be fans.
That is so insightful. I love that. It's an absolute, honestly, landed so well with me today. Like, yeah, I see what you're saying. I feel like, you know, in the Substack education space, and there's lots of people that are writing really strong articles around Substack and what it's meant to them, and Substack growth or Substack journeys. You know, there's some really good stuff. And I, in my head, I feel like they're all colleagues. This is all amazing because a rising tide lifts all ships. And I want more creatives to take up space. I want more creatives to feel like they have permission. Like, I love the quirkiness that Substack invites. I love how they seem very like front and center, and they kind of really connect to writers and the fact that it is creative as well. So I think that's why I was first attracted to your work, because I was like, here is like, there's the comic guy, you know, there's a guy who is like incredibly knowledgeable and has somehow superhuman strength to write these really long articles that I'm like, I want to print them. I've said this to you before, I want to print them and highlight them. There's like a fascination, right? So I think I am a bit in your fandom, if I'm honest, but I am also really keen to be colleagues with you because I just love your style, and I feel people can learn a lot from not only your expertise outside of Substack, but the way that you approach Substack as well. I feel like there's something, especially, you know, sometimes with the people I work with and with myself, like we're so heart-centered. We're like, oh, you know, I don't know whether I can look today or whatever, you know, and there's things that we can do to protect ourselves from, you know, feeling wobbly on the internet for sure, but it still is like new, right? It's a new engine for culture. It's a new way of working. It's a new way of showing up. It's a new way of giving ourselves permission to share video, audio, graphics, visuals, branding, writing. It's just, yeah, it's so exciting. But yeah, I love that. And I love that before we jumped on the call, you were sort of saying about how open and generous you thought people had been in response to our joint article, and how, you know, it was really beautiful to read that they were there kind of going, I feel this, like, can you help me with this? And they felt safe to do that in those comments. And I feel I've seen that as well with Substack, and maybe it's something that Substack has encouraged and enabled. Maybe it's something that people just feel, you know, when they've been on the internet for a certain number of years, they feel safe enough to do that. I mean, it's curious, isn't it?
It is very curious. It's something that you generally only see in like, well, not really Reddit, but like forums that are closed off and not quite public. So, but I mean, I think it's great. And I mean, I think that what is amazing about Substack is so I'm also obsessed with Kickstarter, and I think Substack is the best opportunity since Kickstarter for creatives. And what's amazing really is watching everyone is building their audience in public. Like, you're literally see when somebody is like built a sustainable, starting to create a sustainable audience, so you get a little check mark. Like they get like, there's all of these, and like you see all of the mistakes and you see all of the successes, and they're just like, every single person is trying to build this thing in their own way, and find part of that is trying on other things. And I think we don't appreciate when you like, my friend's like, okay, so I'm a stage 40 human, and I'm a stage like 10 writer, 15 writer. I've been writing like I've been writing since 2004, so maybe 20. I'm like a year 20, but a lot of people are like a year 30 human and a year 1 writer. And one of the things that we taught, that when someone's growing up, is like they pretend they are other things. They like put on other they dress up, they like try on these different things, and they make believe that they are these things. And one of the things that is beautiful about Substack, and like when you're beginning your career, is like the ability to like pretend that you can go and be like, I want to pretend I'm Cat River today. Like, I want to pretend that I'm Emma Gannon, or I want to pretend that I'm Russell Nohelty or Claire Venus, or like whatever the thing is. And a person, a like child puts on like a like princess dress and then takes it off, and they are like, I want to do it again, or I don't want to do it again. And like sometimes they're like, I want to play this thing every day forever. But a lot of times you're like, I never want to do that again. Thank you for spending $100 on like clothes and stuff, mommy, but like I'm not ever, I hate that. And like I think one of the potential negatives of a site like Substack that is like so focused, so many people are focused on monetization, is like they don't take the time to play in these other worlds and put on these other types of things. And if you don't, not only might you find something you really love by doing that, but you also find like new paths of business that you really like. Like I didn't know I would like negotiating contracts. Like I didn't know I would like putting budgets together like 15 years ago. Like I didn't know I mean, I have a degree in sociology, but like I didn't know I would use it every day of my life in the way that I do now. And you only learn those things by like pretending you are, and so it's very interesting to watch all of these things happen in what is ostensibly public. Like most of these comments are publicly findable.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? And it is that thing of going, sometimes the creative process asks some time of us, and that was very much my journey with Substack. Like I heard Farah Storr, who's head of UK partnerships, say just turn paid on from the off. So I started on Substack from zero, right? On Creatively Conscious, my first publication. I started with zero. I turned paid on from the off. Like that was just my Substack experience. And in that time, I had no expectation around what I would offer because I didn't really know what Substack was. Like I literally was there writing an article and fathoming it out, and that was April 2022. And like you say, then as time moved on and I got to know Substack and what it could be, and I brought my creativity to the platform, lots of things happened as part of that journey. And I also realized that in showing up the way that I was on Creatively Conscious, I'd lost my essence of why I started the thing. And I was like, oh no, this is wrong, this feels wrong. So then now I need not only like a whole new outfit, but a whole new house to play in with the outfit, right? So that's when I birthed Sparkle on Substack, and everything just felt so much better. I was like, okay, so I still get to talk about slow live Northumberland life, wholehearted business, all of that sort of stuff that resonates and makes sense with maybe like quite a niche group of people. And then I get to kind of go, if you're a creative who also likes to write, me too, come and join the gang. Like let's have a go, and that's very much what it was. And then that bestseller check mark was a quiet goal, but I didn't expect to hit it, right? It was like one of those, that would be cool, that would be really amazing, like maybe in the middle of next year, maybe after a year or two. Like I still thought that the energy would be similar to how it had been on Creatively Conscious, and then that changed, that shifted, that changed, and I just ran with it, right? And then this is in terms of what you were saying, this is the bit where you recognize, so you're at the stage in your career where you can kind of call it how something's going to go, and I'm at the stage in my career where I'm relatively new to the online world, but I've been doing the work in person, and I thought they were two very different worlds. And they are, but they're not, right? Because we're just human at the end of the day. There's a human on the other side of the laptop. There's a human on the other side of the podcast. Like there's all these asynchronous things going on. But I've had a whole career of doing that in person. So it's blown my mind. It's blown my mind. But in being able to take up space and take up permission to play, I feel like that's what's kept me feeling like it's really fun. And it's still really fun. Like this is fun today. Like it all just feels fun.
Right. Yeah. And, one of the things that we always talk about, like what works or what doesn't work, but like a lot of times you put on this thing and you see like that, oh, if I just did this thing, like I would be successful. And like this has happened a lot of times in my career where I put on a thing and I'm like, and Monica and I wrote a post a few months ago about how to burn it all down, because Monica and I were very successful last year in our course company, and like it almost killed us. And like we were like, we can't do that. And also giving yourself permission to say like, that is not the way that I want success. Like I tell people all the time, like I was a sales manager at Sprint. Like I could go and get a 6-figure sales job tomorrow. Like I have no fear of any of those things. And that's not the way that I want to run my business. That's not the thing that I want to do. And I often find that things that I wanted to do serve me for a season, and then they don't serve me anymore. And a lot of the things that I've done, like I had a podcast, I brought it back several times. It is now currently not having been brought back. And then like I have whole lines of business that like literally made my career exist. Like I used to do book marketing for people, and then I stopped doing that. And now I like do it for one client. And like these things that serve you sometimes stop serving you, and then maybe they start serving you again. And if we're not willing to inhabit success, we don't know if that success will feel good. Like a lot of people don't want the kind of success that I have, because like I talk about author growth and like marketing and sales. A lot of people don't have positive feelings about that. Let's just say positive feelings about that. I get a lot of people that's like, of course you're successful. You're talking about like Substack growth on Substack. And I'm like, I designed it that way. Like I knew I for like 6 months, I read the things that were working, what was organically growing. And then because of Substack's recommendation engine, I designed a platform that would get recommended in the same way that like when you're in Kindle Unlimited, like there are certain kinds of books that work on Kindle Unlimited. And like, if you're going to use a platform that is built upon organic growth, like Substack is, or Wattpad or Royal Road or Kindle Unlimited, like you should like lean into the thing that is working. And if you don't want to do that, that is okay. But you should make a conscious decision to know that you are making a decision against your most the most virality. Like I don't have Threads, I don't have TikTok, I barely have Twitter, I barely have like Facebook, only for really DMs. And like I know that stuff holds me back. Like I know Substack is a very small platform in the grand scheme of things, that like if you really, 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 really want virality, you need to be building off of Substack to bring people to your publication. But like I go into what I do with the mindset of like, I always optimize for enjoyment at this point in my life. I'm in my 40s now. I just don't have time to do things that I hate. I mean, everyone does things that they hate sometimes, but like, I don't have time to like, or the energy to like do those things just for the sake of growth. But I spent time doing growth for the sake of growth stuff. And like, a lot of them then fed back to being like, wow, I could probably use some of this and do it in a way that is very conscious towards growth. People always get on me because they're like, oh, I don't want to be a brand. And I'm like, well, I don't want to spend time learning branding. I'm like, but like, okay, if you want to grow without spending energy, the way to do that is to write the exact same post that you wrote before, but just like make all of the things call out to the person. It's like that's the free stuff. Like it's so easy when you brand yourself well and you attract the right people, that like you don't have to change anything that you're writing. Maybe you tweak a little bit of it, but like in general, you're writing the same stuff. It's just like, oh, your brand makes sense. And suddenly you start getting energetically like the right people to come, and you start growing in that way. And that people actively fight against it and then simultaneously complain that they're not growing is like, that is the incongruency that I'm trying to explain to people. I honestly don't care if you want to build a brand or not. Like, it doesn't matter to me how you put your business, but like, you should at least know the things you're doing that are shooting yourself in the foot, and then make a conscious choice to go towards the things that will help you grow or against them. And again, there's no wrong answer, but I always say like data is not good or bad. It's just data. Like you should know the correlation and causation for the things so that you can make like the right choice for you, which might be, I want to have a chaotic mess of a page and I never want to do branding and all of that stuff. And I know that it will help me and I don't care. But hopefully by reading the author stack, you'll be able to see, wow, these two things resonate with me. And I'll be like, you only need one a year. If you put if you slam through one great strategy that helps you grow a year for 10 years or 5 years, you will like have a massive business that brings you back everything that you want. So like you don't need to like have all of it work. You need to probably be testing a lot of things and then find one thing, and eventually like it locks in.
Yeah.
And if maybe you get 2 or 3 a year, and like you honestly don't need that many things in order to like sustain your life, but you should know what those things are and to make the right decision for you now. And tomorrow it might be a whole different decision. Like tomorrow, a week from now, you might wake up and be like, actually, I really need to do that. That happens to me. That's where a whole author ecosystem is based upon.
Yeah, and I love that work on the author ecosystem. People definitely have to go and read through that. It's incredibly escapist, you know, it's beautifully written, and there are parts in it that just really, really resonate. And then there are big questions that kind of crop up, you know, when you come into your creative work and you come into Substack as well, you're kind of going, okay, like, have I been working in this ecosystem, but actually this is my more congruent ecosystem? I think like I recognized a bit of that in myself, and I've still got work to do on it. But I love what you say. I think it's really important to know, and it's so nuanced, the conversation around branding, but it's so interesting and important to know that there is a clarity in people coming to your work when the brand resonates with what the words are doing. And the words are part of the brand as well. Like we had a conversation because you were telling me that your logo piece was inspired by Elizabeth Gilbert's Big Magic book. And I was just like, literally, like there couldn't be a bigger connect for me. Like I love that book. And also I love the storytelling of that. I love that it wasn't just like a random Canva graphic. Not that I thought it was, but it was very, very conscious, you know, that branding, that visual, it was a very conscious decision, right? And the words that you chose to align with that graphic. And I'm fascinated with all of that stuff. And sometimes that stuff is our life's work. Like, yes, we can pick something and it feels sort of okay. But when we get that combination where it's like, that is a representation of me here and now, and it starts, like you say, magnetizing and bringing people in, then we know we've done it, right? Like we've done it for now, at least.
Right, exactly. And, you know, the thing is, you have a brand. Like we all have a thing that like is your, like your mother has a brand, your dog has a brand. They all have things that like define them, not forever, but like for now or in your memory. And that's really what you're trying to do. What you want, the brand is not for people that know your work already. It's so that somebody who doesn't know your work can say, oh, I feel at home here. I feel at peace here. I feel like this is going to be the thing that helps me. And it allows them to let their shoulders down. So whenever we go into a new situation, we're always like very tense, like everyone is. Like it doesn't matter like whether you've done this a million times or not, like we're all very tense. We don't know how we're going to be perceived. Whenever we meet somebody, we always have this tension. And like whenever someone says you should go look at the author stack, people are always like, what is this going to be? Like that's literally like almost always the reaction that someone has when you offer. It's like, now I'm going to be asked to do work and decide whether this is a thing that like that like I want to be part of. And so the quicker you can say somebody, oh, like look at all of this, like this does look like a thing that like will resonate with me. Like, and Elizabeth Gilbert is great, is like a great example. Like you just picture her brand. Like you don't even have to see, like hear her, like you just know like the things that are about Elizabeth Gilbert. And
yeah, there's an essence that she just has. There's an essence that when someone mentions her name, it lives in you, right? If you've read anything or listened to anything that she's done, it just, there's an essence that
and there's and there's congruency there, like what you think and then what you see. It's the same thing in like Mark Manson, The Subtle Art of Not Giving Up, as the opposite of Elizabeth Gilbert. But like, again, you can hear that work. And like Austin Kleon, like you can hear the thing and you know who will resonate, like your friends. So one of the hardest things for me was I, for a long time, did not do very well letting people, making it easy for people to recommend my work to other people.
Okay.
Like it'd be like, what do I recommend them? Where do I do this? Like, where's your website? Like, what is the book that I should do? And like, it like complicated and made it muddy. And people would ask me, what book should I give them? And I was like, well, it really depends. And they're like, not to me. You need to tell me let me help you. Tell me how to get people to you. And like, it was chaos. And one of the things that we can do to help ourselves is to give the people who love our work and read our work a clear vision of who they should tell about it. Like, who should read this piece, or like not even who should, but like, oh, my friend Becky is like at this point in their journey, and like I think they would love this thing, or like they just got pregnant and like they're a creator, and like here's a Substack for them, or like they're an ex beauty, like not like they're an ex they like trying to they're a recovering like makeupaholic, or like whatever, like beauty fanatic, and like they're trying to find ways to, it's like, oh, well, I know exactly where I should send somebody on any point in that journey, because people have made it clear what their messaging is. And my agent a long time ago said, if you're not top 3 on someone's list, you're not even on that list. And so you need to pick a list and be able to and say, at what point in somebody's journey do I want to be recommended to somebody? And how do I support that person on their journey? And where on the journey am I no longer able to support them? And how do I offload them to another mentor? Yes. This is one of the most kind things you can do to your audience, because some of them will stick around, and like as you grow, they will grow. But for a lot of them, they'll find you at a place, and then they'll leave that place. Like they will either grow or they'll change. And like, to be able to say, here are some other things that like I think you should read next, or will help you, or will support you in this transition, or if you read mine and this, it can help you for longer. Like those are such kind things that we can do that we don't think about how we're doing them. And that's where branding and marketing and all of these words that sound bad, like in your ear, like these words sound bad, like when you actually break them down to like what they're doing, like you are on some level creating a kindness for your audience by saying, oh, I know you want to support your friends, and like you want to help them get to the place you are. So I want to easily be shareable to those people who like will be able to be helped the most without you having to worry about it. And I don't want you to have to then explain for 10 minutes. Like I want you to just be able to say, I love this thing, and all I have to do is share a graphic or share a link, and oh, of course, like that looks like everything I'm looking for, as opposed to, well, like I know you have to look at this and like this other thing, and here's why it's helpful. Like all of those things are friction points between your audience and the people that they can share it to.
I love that. I loved all of that around kindness as well. And I feel like that is just innate, right? So like if you are an educator in any field, like there is a kindness switched on that you want to try and support people and help people. And I'm under no illusions that Sparkle will help people for a time, and it'll be different for everyone. For some people, they might be with me 3 years, maybe longer. For others, it'll be a month. They'll dip in and out of a workshop. They'll get what they need, or they won't resonate with the way that I teach things, and they'll be off, and that's grand. It's really, really interesting. And I know that we've had these questions in our shared post, and one of them, well, a few of them are around paywalls and when to paywall and what to paywall. And of course, it is nuanced and complicated, and it's the biggest question that I get asked after how to grow community. And my whole thing is like, we're doing it joyfully, we're doing it sustainably. That's how we're doing it, so that's what we're going to be spending time doing together. But if it's a question for people around how to set it up, some of that is just practical, like decision making, like, do I paywall my best work? Do I paywall half of my best work? Like, what on earth do I do? And so what are your thoughts? So there's a writer, well, I'm going to say there's a creative who also likes to write. Okay, so they're also creative, because that usually is my type of person who comes to work with me. And they have innate creativity. They're also writing, but they might be in that analogy that you kind of described, like they're a few years into the writing journey, right? And they're curious about this paywalling. They've seen other people do it. They've seen other people be successful. They want to do it. They want to stand front and center and say, pay me for my work, pay me for my art. But they're frightened, they're kind of going, how do I do this? What do I paywall? how much is enough? Do I do audio? Should I do a video? Does that help? You know, like what would your advice be around cutting through that noise and making some decisions around?
Keep your broadest work free.
Mm.
The work that is going to resonate with the most amount of people, and the stuff that people need to know you for before it really makes sense, that is the stuff you should paywall. I have had so many different opinions about this on Substack. I used to have the paywall set up so it just archives after 3 weeks, and like it ends up that like it doesn't work. Like it doesn't work because when you unpaywall something, Substack just repaywalls it, and so it just like drove me crazy. And so I have decided that the work that I can keep behind a paywall is the stuff that people need to read other stuff of mine to really resonate with. The stuff that is great for SEO should be stuff that is like free, because that's going to draw the most people. Like, to go back to the author ecosystem, like your inner grassland is about depth and scope. And so if you're going to have things that like, and you might write one of those things a year, one of those things a month, maybe almost all of your stuff is like that. It is likely that at the beginning of your Substack journey, either you'll be writing all of your weirdest stuff, and then you get more broad over time, or you're writing all of your broadest stuff and you're getting weirder over time. And depending on where that is, like I would think I have a post on my Substack that's just, it's a 50,000 word guide for Substack. And it's like everything from like setting it up, why you should do it, where it fits in, how to set it up, how to go paid. And it's like, well, if you go to my publication, like that's why you're there. And if you read one article, they're probably going to tell you whether you want to know more or not. And also, it's probably what people are most likely going to share. And an interesting thing happens with writing, because it's not like I take several pills in the morning to keep me alive. And it's not like when you have one, like you can have one pill and like it's all you need, and you don't need to take any other, like it's like they're mutually exclusive. But when you are a writer, things are not mutually exclusive, because people need to hear things in different ways. And one of the hardest things about writing is you can't just say, write a book about cookies and everyone reads your book, because it's like nuanced, and like some people don't like cookies, and some people only like this kind of cookie. But even if you pick all of the people who love the exact kind of cookie you're making, like some of them will resonate with your writing and some of them will resonate with someone else's writing. And so there's always this. So you will almost never resonate with someone's writing. Like I think Substack is unique in that so many people resonate with so many people's writing there, but like it never happens. Like it very, very, very rarely happens. If you actually step back and say, I've read X amount of things, how many of them do I actually resonate with that I want to read more of? It's, I don't know, 1%. So when someone finds a thing that they resonate with, they are going to make that is why they're taking active leap forward. That is why they buy the work. That is because we live in a world now that I think for the last 10 years, people have devalued writing because it's just been everywhere. There's a million books and But what ended up happening, especially during the pandemic, I think at least, is people started to see that all of this work, it's not bad. Like it's work that is objectively good. It's just not subjectively their jam. And like, those are two very different like questions. And if something is objectively good and subjectively your jam, or even if it's objectively not good, but subjectively your jam, it's so hard to find those things, and more in this sea that people cling on to it more and more and more. So the problem of like not being able to have this mass scale, because voice is so important, is also the thing that makes people stick with us. It's like also the secret weapon that we have. And so if we start thinking about it like that, what I want is the broadest scope of people to read my work and then share it. And then I want some of those people to make the decision to subscribe. And I want some of those people to read the rest of the work and say, oh, no, I need to know more, or I need to support this person because I need them to keep doing this work.
Mm-hmm. And I really hear what you're saying about support this person, right? Because they're going from reading an article with some themes in it and some topics that might resonate to recognizing that there's a person with a whole life and a whole set of different circumstances that wrote that article, that spent time writing that article and putting it out and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, I think that'll really connect with people. And then there's been a flurry of things around how we nurture this audience. When we email them, can we email them from other platforms? So I've had quite a lot of friends and colleagues that came to Substack, but primarily they have service-based businesses off Substack. So they have to be really careful on Substack. You know, they have to make sure that they're writing articles and playing the game of Substack. Like, they can't just use it to market their business, but if they nurture relationships, they then want to email those people. So people are getting in all sorts of tangles around this. I did a note this week and sort of asked directly about GDPR. You know, obviously we've got these rules in Europe and all this sort of stuff. But I know, and I noticed when I subscribed to you that I was also on a separate mailing list as well. And I didn't mind at all. I was like, this is great. I definitely wanted more of this stuff. And now I'm getting it. So that was perfect for me. And I just wonder what you feel, you know, works, doesn't work. Is there an etiquette thing here? Are we too British about it? Like, you know, obviously, like what are the rules? Are there any rules? Are we making them up? What do you feel?
So my feeling is I want to narrow band people's ability to unsubscribe from things that they don't want to be part of. Mm-hmm. So I have 3 mailing list systems. One is for my company, Wannabe Press. One is for, and I use Flowdesk for that. One is ConvertKit for my writer MBA company. And then one is the Author Stack. Mm-hmm. I have found that I want to keep promotions on the ones that are not Author Stack. And so, and then the Author Stack is about delivering valuable posts. And I have found that you can go from sending out promotions for promotional emails to value. Like, that is like, there's no, like, I don't think there's any issue there. Value to promotional emails is a whole different, like, and we don't do that. We don't take the people from the value and put them in the other emails, because the main goal is to get people the value. And then at the top of every post, I will have some sort of thing that says, either when we have a Kickstarter live, it'll have like a promotion of like, you should go here and check that out, or it will say at least like, look at these other articles and like join and like subscribe and all of those things. So I feel like my goal is to provide max value and then give people an opportunity to buy things from me. And this is the hardest part of people on Substack. They have a really hard time being like, hi, like, you can buy this. Did you know you could buy this? Like, did you know you could buy this pen? And like, they just do not, they refuse or feel really weird about it. But like it's just a pen. Like, did you make the pen for like the people that were there? Like, what are the values of the pen that like really like resonate with, like, why did you make the pen? Like, it has to be for this audience. Otherwise, like, why would you do it? And like, if you did that, then like, just tell people about it. Now, there are some Substacks that I follow that like really are overzealous with the show me a pen. And frankly, I am also overzealous with it because I release 10 books a year. So like, I tell people about a lot of pens.
And so you showed, you know, this is you telling them about you, right? Because you are a person who puts lots of creative stuff into the world and that lots of people resonate with. And, you know, I don't want to use the word life changing lightly, but creative work changes lives, right? Processes change lives, like all the time. This is happening every second of every day in all of the countries, you know, the privileged world. Like, and there is something really special around trying to remove the barrier to people being able to have their life changed, right?
Absolutely. And, you know, I just got in a conversation yesterday with someone who was like, how much of your work needs to be like in a book, and how much do you keep out of the book? And I was like, all of it goes in the book. Like if you like all of it, like all of my books like are posts, and posts are books, because like the articles aren't written in a coherent way that make a narrative. Like a book is a narrative. So like, yes, there's additional things in the book, but like all the stuff that's in, like most of the stuff that's in the book also is in the, like is also somewhere. And do you want to dive, or do you not want to do the dive? One of the biggest things that I think is interesting about how I think about monetization is really with nonfiction, especially. It's like, how much time do you want to save? Substack is mostly free, but like you have to go and like muck around with it a lot to figure out what you need. A book is like pretty cheap. It's like $20. Like it's like a meal at a not even super nice restaurant, just like probably a fast casual meal is like $20. So like that's not that like, so like if you want to save some time, you should probably go like read a book. The book has like the book has a lot of value, and it's a little bit priced. It's probably the best value to price of all of the things. Do you want more than that? Well, I have courses. We have courses that like will show you, and literally their screen shares of like, do this, do this, do this. They take care of any eventuality. Like 40 hours of like work that I put into a lot of these courses that just literally go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That saves you a whole lot more time. Do you need even more time saved? Well, like you can book a one-on-one call with me. We can talk about whatever thing you want during that one-on-one call with me. But like, it's not about me. I don't care. Like I have no stake in how much value, how much time you want to save. My goal is to show you the value that you have and what the opportunity is. And from that, you can make your own decision. People email me often or like, hey, can you help me with this problem? Should I book a one-on-one call? And every time, and people get upset when I say this, I'm like, if you don't know whether I'm the right person to help you, then you should not book a call with me. You should only book a call with me if you know you are the right person, because I have articles, books, courses that all should be done before you take a one-on-one with me. Because like, if you're going to get to the one-on-one, you are spending the most amount of money per second to be in my presence and like, and to fix your problem as it. But like, if you haven't actually done the methodology behind the thing, I'm going to have to then spend time telling you about what the methodology is. And like, you could get way more value by reading a book or taking a course before you then say, I tried it your way. I tried it to do it this way, and there's something confusing. And I just go, here are the 3 blocks. Thank you. Bye. You've now like maximized the value of our time together. So yeah, I don't have any problem like telling people that a book is out. But like, I also feel like you need to make a case for your book. Like, what is the case that your book should exist? And like, I do see a lot of Substacks just like 25% discount, 50% discount, 10% discount. And like every month it's like a different discount. I'm like, I have no idea. Like, you don't have a narrative thread for why. And like, it's fine. But like, it is much easier to say, I have a book called Direct Sales Mastery for Authors. I wrote it with my business partner, Monica Leonel, after 25 combined years of helping authors with their sales. And we made it because we started to see everyone is overwhelmed. Everyone is confused about this new thing called direct sales. And we have seen all of these gaps in the market, and we have spent years now going through and trying to fill these gaps. And this book is now 900, maybe 1,000 pages of 2 books about like what the cohesive narrative is about direct sales, why it's important, and the methodology behind it. And like, then I can break down and say, well, here are the 5 pillars. Here are the 5 principles. Here are the things. And then take each of those pillars and say, here's why it's important. Here's how to do it. And like, I can make that case for months. But like, if you don't care about direct sales, like, I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking to you about, I'm not going to convince you that direct sales is important. I can convince you, as I did recently, that like direct sales, that Substack is direct sales, that courses are direct sales. And like, you can say you don't want to get involved in direct sales, but probably on some level, if you've ever sold a book to someone at a convention, if you've ever like had someone buy even $1 worth of stuff from your website, like you are doing direct sales. And like, and our job as creators is to show people why they should care about this thing, not because I care about it, but because I have your vested interest at heart. Yours. Like, it's none of this. This is the hardest thing that I ever that someone has to swallow. 0% of anything you write is about you. It is always, always, always about them and how you make them feel. The reason that that people connect so much with certain writers is because they make them feel a way. And they connect their experience with your. This is why writing is parasocial, right? Because like, it's like, wow, I feel seen. This is the thing that most people say in like the comments. So often you see comments on posts and it's like, I feel seen. I feel like I'm not alone. I feel this. It's never like, you did a good job, guy. It's almost always related to a way. Even if it's just like I was on Joanna Penn's podcast this week, and like, it's been a lifelong dream. Even the fact that like people have been following me for 10 years since no one would listen to me, they're just on the team rooting. It feels like they're on the team together. And so all of this stuff, all of it, everything is, how can you make the connection that you are that like somebody with somebody else and influence their journey. This is why I think no one should write a biography and everyone should write a memoir, because everyone has a story in them that can change somebody else and that someone else can relate to. And that's what this whole game is about.
I'm obsessed with I am obsessed with memoir. I just literally lent into all of that. I was so fascinated in everything that you were saying. I think it's super interesting as well to reflect on the journey. So like the customer journey, the reader journey, like people being with you for a long time, people kind of buying in at different levels, people being overwhelmed and needing to just cut through the noise and realizing they could have learned it all in a course, but they didn't have the time, you know, all that sort of stuff. Like, that is the beautiful, messy world of creative living, of trying to, you know, show up and make it all work and make it all fit together. And Substack, you know, for both of us is a big part of that, but it's not the only part of that. I wonder if there's anything, Russell, that you want from Substack moving forward, that you wish that it would do, that would help your business ecosystem or would help other creatives, that you feel like it's not quite doing yet, or it's not quite there yet. Is there anything that you'd like to see from Substack?
I mean, their paywall is garbage. It's like, it's so bad. Like, it needs to be better. Like, it needs to be able to narrow band way better. I don't know why we can't set a number of articles that people can read for free, like they can on almost every website, because that, I think, is what I would like. I would like to be able to say everything's free, or most things are free, but like you can read 5 a month or 3 a month or whatever. Okay. Like, you could read 5 a month. That would be like basically like all of my main posts a month you could read for free. And also it all comes into the inbox. So like a lot of it, like, you don't have to go to the website to read. That is, I think, their segmentation in behind the, like in the back end is also suboptimal. I won't say this, like, it's like, I would like to segment way better and then be able to play with those segments. The segmentation of saying somebody in this, like, I would like to be able to email people that are just part of one of my segments, not all of them. And I'd like to be able to write a post. So like, that part is, and the final one, it is so hard to see how much money you actually made.
Oh my God.
It is like, you have to go into Stripe and make a project. And like, even then it's like, you can see forward casting what you make, but like theoretically, maybe what you could make, but like, you do not see like how much money that actually is, or how much that is per month, because some months are very lumped in. Like, maybe there's like maybe October is you've got 15 payments of $50. And like, so it's really not you're making $500 a month. It's you're making $200 a month with like one $1,500 month. Like, I don't, and
it's so confusing. I actually a few weeks ago started an article on it and tied myself up in knots and ended up going, if you could, because of the currency conversions as well. So we've got that. And so some people are sending me way more money than others because of currency conversions. I'm like, this is way out. Like, this is almost like £1 a month more for this person. And so I was like, okay, it's average this, like, this is how it's been working. This is how it's developing. And then I stopped myself because I was like, you know what? Part of this feels like a gaming system. Part of this feels like this addictive gaming system where we want another paid subscriber. And then actually what I really want to focus on is how much value I'm giving and being paid properly for my work. So at X number of subscribers, I'll be being paid properly for the work that I do. When I first started Sparkle, I wasn't, because, you know, there was a few paid subscribers come in, you know, week by week or whatever. And that was how it was going to work. And I could see that. So yeah, I do have issues with it, and I have issues when people ask me the direct question as well. I'm like, please don't be influenced by what you see on Substack. Just go back to what you want to deliver for your membership or for your paywalled people and how it fits with your bigger business ecosystem, because these are small subscription amounts. Yes, over a certain number of years, there's a stability there, there's a security, it feels nice, but it's small, right? Like, these are small amounts of money. And then there's so much disparity in terms of people setting out their stall at X number of pounds or dollars a month. Then there's like a 50% off sale. And it's like, it's a whole world of pain, isn't it?
So Gumroad does a really interesting thing where they charge by like by the country. So they will do parity. So like if you're in like a very poor region and like 50 cents is equal to $5, like you will only pay that. And you can't do that on Substack. And the other thing you can't do is, and I find this wild, like this is what this part is wild to me. You have contributors to a publication, but you still have to intake all of the money for a publication and then pay out contributors, even if they have Substack publications that are already on Stripe. And you can see how much the estimated income is for a subscriber, but you can't just be like, hey, pay this person 50% of whatever comes in from this thing. And like, that's wild to me, Claire. It's wild because like that the whole business that they have based around is making these feel like newspapers. And like, you can't collect, like, you can't say, if you like subscribe to this Sparkle bundle and all 10, and like you get access to 10 feeds for $20, and then everyone will get paid out 10% of that. Like, why can't we make a publication on Substack if it's so easy to add collaborators, add contributors, and they're already taking money and distributing it. So distributing it even more so on a publication basis, even if you say I'll only do it after you raise $10, like, I feel like I have to do a lot of, we're expanding out the, I'm bringing on new contributors, hopefully in the next 6 months, to try and like build out the publication for bringing in people who speak to different audiences in the author growth space that like I don't necessarily speak to. And I'm like, now I have to go in every like week or every month and like figure out how much I owe them and then pay them out. And like, it feels like all of the people I'm bringing in have Substack publications. So like, why do I have to do that work? Anyway,
but that is a unique way of seeing it. I'd never thought about it like that before, because we're still all in this space of doing it for PR purposes, right? So like, we're going, okay, like, let's do this. And actually the question came up on the Sparkle call last week, like, if I ask someone to be on my podcast, like, should I be offering them a fee? And I'm like, absolutely, in an ideal world, but we all do them all the time for each other. Like, that's how it sort of seems to work. But actually, if we are changing the engine for being paid, and we're changing this engine for culture, and we're looking at a publication like it's bigger than just the sum of its parts, then like, we should be distributing more through that.
I mean, they
Fascinating.
vary. It's very easy to see how much someone made. Like it says right there, estimated
Yeah.
money raised for the thing,
Mm,
but like that's not actually the money that you've made. It might be $3, and also like you can't just like you still have to take in all of the money and like
mm,
then distribute it out
mhm.
later.
Yeah.
Anyway, I mean, I know these are like the general problems of scale, less the problems
Yeah.
of like people that are at the lower end. But like,
Yeah.
if Substack wants us to treat this like a business, as they do,
Mm,
they should
mhm.
really make it easier to make our business work on Substack.
Yeah, yeah, I hear on that, and it's super interesting to hear his perspective of how that all plugs in and that sort of thing. And I feel like we could have so many conversations, and I'd love to stay in touch and like talk again. Like I really wanted to get into Kickstarter stuff. I know you're gonna mention a little bit, at the end of the podcast now, and it would be so great for you to mention like what the Kickstarter is that you've got going, like how people can find it and that sort of thing, support that work. But also you teach about Kickstarter as well. So if people are interested and want to pick up that model of doing things, then you've got some resources there.
Yeah, so I have a book, Get Your Book Selling on Kickstarter. I will just send you the link, and anyone who's interested can get it for free at the
Okay,
link. And
thank you.
then if they want to understand the overall conversation on direct sales, then we have a book called Direct Sales Mastery for Authors. It's live until January 5th on Kickstarter at writermba.com/DSA. And it is how you combine subscriptions and crowdfunding and web stores and landing pages and conventions together and moving everything into one direction, especially because like I made more in one day on Kickstarter than I do in a year on Substack. So like it's not that, and I don't like, continuity is a thing that you need to have like in your business all the time, and like it just grows over time, hopefully. And it's this thing that happens in the background. But like you might have other sources. Like I talk to people all the time. Like I talked to a writer who moved to Patreon because their stuff was on Royal Road. And I was like, yeah, Patreon is probably a much better like subscription platform for you because it's about association versus publication. And if
Okay.
you want more of that, you can the two publication models I just published like a little bit ago, and it should be free to read, but it's like all about, so like there, even when you're like, okay, subscriptions, well, Substack, and then you have Patreon, and you have Ream, and you have all of these, you have Ko-fi, Ko-fi, and you have Buy Me a Coffee, and you have all of these ones in these different models. You have one-time payments, you have subscription payments, and like, there's all these reasons why these things might work or not work for you. But we get so wound up on how to succeed on Substack, and like, I mean, I don't love saying it, but like Substack's not made to succeed for a large amount of people.
Mm.
Substack works on scale. The way that you will make money on Substack at $5 is to have an infinite number of people. That is why the recommendation engine is so important. That's why all of this stuff, that the organic growth is so important, because like you just need, even at 1,000 subscribers, you're only making 50 grand. 1,000 subscribers on Patreon would make you probably $200,000 because of the
Mm.
way that their model's set up, like or at least $100,000 because they have multiple price points. If you're part of our ecosystem, the like a forest is going to do a lot better on
You can come. You can come
Patreon than it.
in. It's okay. This is Russell. You're gonna come say hi.
Oh,
This is a. This
hi.
is a school pickup's done.
Oh,
Saying
hi.
hi. This is
Hey,
Luna.
buddy.
You can say
What's the
hi.
name?
This is Luna.
Hi, Luna. I love your sweater. You're
It's great,
very
isn't it? She's
you
like
you have
neon
similar coloring
rainbow.
to mommy, huh?
Yeah, look at that. We've twinned today. Yeah, so there is so much to learn and so much to think about and so much to do, but let's cut through the overwhelm because Russell's done loads of it for us. Like, let's just go over to the author stack.
I got some sweet picture.
Read some articles of Russell's, and I'm going to share some more links, some of the things that you've mentioned, Russell. Why don't you draw my paper? Yeah, and we'll say bye-bye, but I really hope that we can talk again soon because I've literally had so many light bulb moments. It's been so nice to talk to you. Thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
See you soon.
Yeah.